This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
It's Oh Behave with Arden Moore, the show that teaches you how to have harmony in the household with your pets. Join Arden as she travels coast to coast to help millions better understand why cats and dogs do what they do. Get the latest scoop on famous faces, their perfectly pampered pets, and who's walking who in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails. Garner great pet tips and have a doggone fur-flying fun time. So get ready for the pause and applause as we unleash your Oh Behave host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Good old dog. 3 magical words. Do you have a senior dog in your life? A gray-muzzled, loyal, 4-legged buddy? Want to learn how to keep your canine pal at his or her healthy best? You guys are in luck because we have 2 special guests who will be unleashing some tips and tricks to bring out that inner puppy in your senior dog. Please join me in welcoming to the show Dr. Jason Nicholas, a.k.a. the Preventive Vet, and Tim Mitchum, in charge of sales and marketing for WINPRO, the blood protein supplements for dogs. Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Arden.
All right.
Hey Arden, how are you? Thanks for having me.
All right, great. All right, guys, we're on a mission to keep our aging dogs feeling great. But listeners, we got to sit and stay, and we'll be right back after we take this commercial break.
Time for a pause. 4 furry ones, actually. Sit and stay. Oh Behave will be right back.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms. And our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com. Oh Behave is back with more tail-wagging ways to achieve harmony in the household with your pets. Now back to your fetching host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome back to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. The topic today, good old dogs, and what we can do to keep them feeling young and healthy. You know, folks, you know I have 2 senior dogs, Cleo and Bujo. Cleo is my retired surfing dog who weighs 12 pounds soaking wet. She's 17. And then there is 88-pound Bujo, my Bernese mountain dog mix. She is 8. And as you guys know, big dogs age faster than little dogs. Here on today's show to help us help our senior dogs are, first up, we have Dr. Jason Nicholas, a.k.a. the Preventive Vet. Dr. J, as he likes to be called, is based in Portland, Oregon. But he helps pets all over the globe. Now, after the show, I encourage you all to sniff around his website, which is www.preventivevet.com. Hey, Dr. J, what's something you admire most about those dogs with the graying muzzles?
Oh, gosh. I mean, there's so many things where to start. I just love that they've lived life, you know, and for dogs, you know, every day is just a joy. And so they've got a lot of those days behind them, but also a lot of them have a lot of those days ahead of them. And they're just kind of always smiling and wagging their tail and happy.
And you got a special senior in your household. Want to do the 411 on Wendy?
I do. Wendy is awesome. She's probably around 13. Got her off a pet finder back in 2008 when she was already about a year or 2 old. And she's magic. I mean, she's, you know, slowing down in her older age, and, you know, her hearing and her vision is going a bit. But she's about a 38-pound Australian Shepherd Brittany Spaniel mix. Wow. Almost certainly. We don't know that for sure. But yeah, she's just the sweetest thing ever. And
All right.
yeah, lucked out with her.
You got an Einstein with the sweetness factor.
That's right.
That's a pretty good blend. Hey, guys, and second, we want to welcome Tim Mitchum. He wears many collars there at WINPRO, the makers of blood protein supplements for dogs. And these are chewables. They come in a variety. You can get them to aid your dog for mobility, focus, cope with allergies, boost immunity, and enhance training. Shoo-wee! That's a huge mission you're on, Tim.
It's a big mission, but it's a really, really, really important mission, especially since we've seen the power and the results the blood proteins have had in dogs. We're really, really excited to really continue that mission.
Now, I feel like I'm on a vampire show, blood protein.
Right.
But you guys got some science behind it. So without getting too technical, there's a lot of supplements out there. What makes your WINPRO stand head and shoulders like a Great Dane over a pack of little Chihuahuas? Nothing against Chihuahuas.
Right. Hey, I married into a Chihuahua a while back. So,
you married into a Chihuahua? Did you marry?
Yeah, I married. No, well, I mean, isn't that the same thing, kind of?
Well,
when you marry into a Chihuahua, they kind of run the show.
All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what's really unique is WINPRO is the only supplement that uses the a blend of blood proteins. Now, it's not liquid blood. It's just dried plasma in the form of blood proteins. Okay. So they are proven to be one of nature's best weapon against inflammation. And so it's nothing nutritional. We don't try to, compete against nutrition. We are really supplementing when there's an inflammation issue that other things haven't solved, whether it's through nutrition or any type of training and exercise. Our product really comes in and does a great job of getting rid of that inflammation in the area that is the problem situation.
All right. And we've got a good veterinarian on board here now. How important is nutrition for our good old senior dogs, Dr. Nicholas?
Yeah, nutrition is really important. A lot of people tend to think that older dogs or senior dogs need less protein, but the reality is a lot of senior dogs need more protein in their diet than even younger dogs. They need it to maintain their lean body mass and their body muscle. If the body is deprived of protein or it's getting less protein, then the body's response is to start breaking down its own muscle to derive that protein. And so that could be detrimental in our senior pets. Now that is, based on the idea that their kidneys are working properly. And so obviously you work closely with your veterinarian to make sure that your dog's kidneys are working properly and they can handle the clearance of the metabolic byproducts of protein. But if that's the case, protein and overall nutrition, fatty acids, omega-3 fatty acids, there's been some work at Purina looking at medium chain triglycerides in terms of cognitive health in dogs. So nutrition is vitally important for our senior pets.
So when I did a nice broiled salmon the other day and there was no seasoning on it yet, and I gave a little bit to Cleo and Bujo, that was a good treat, right?
Yeah, I mean, as long as their system can tolerate it, and as long as, like you said, it's broiled and cooked, because at least up here in the Pacific Northwest, you don't have it down in Texas and many other parts of the country. But there's a problem with raw salmon and salmonids and dogs eating those typically around the side of rivers and streams and lakes called salmon poisoning disease. Yikes. But you wouldn't have to deal with that once you've cooked your salmon, and as long as it didn't come from the Pacific Northwest.
All right.
But they've gotten some good fish oil and omega-3 fatty acids from that.
That sounds great. Hey, folks, we're talking about good old dogs. And the nice thing is our dogs are living longer because of getting regular veterinarian care, good nutrition, some supplements, some exercise, and all. And I met the folks at WINPRO when I went to Global Pet Expo. Oh, my gosh. You guys imagine a pet expo that is 7 football fields long. Yes, I wish I had a Fitbit, because I swear I must have walked over 10 miles a day, because typically I would have an appointment with booth number 1, and then I'd have to run all the way to booth number 7,000 and then go back to booth 3,500. I was like a ping pong ball. But I did swing by the WINPRO booth, and Tim, I got to meet Bill Bernardo, your main dude right there at WINPRO. So tell us,
Bill's the founder, yeah.
So you guys are from Iowa, or this is, and I have a special allegiance to Iowa because my spouse is from Iowa, the whole frickin' Newton family. Shout out. But,
right.
I mean, so tell us a little bit about how this all came to be. I mean, blood protein supplements. I mean, I don't think I dream about that at night every night.
Oh, right. So it's a super cool story. And so back in the 80s, I'll give you the origin of the blood protein. And then I'll tell you kind of real quickly how Bill kind of brought it into the dogs. And back in the 80s up at Iowa State University, they were having a terrible mortality rate when weaning piglets. And so they tried lots of things. They tried nutrition, they tried environmental situations. And the smart scientist guy there decided, he said, hey, let's put this blend of blood proteins on top of the food and see what happens. And they did that. And the mortality rate went from 20% to like less than 1%. And so what they found out, it was the stress of the situation that these piglets were in and going through was causing the inflammation, which in the end caused the mortality. So this science has been in every species through feed, livestock, finally found its way into performance racehorses, where Bill was introduced to it, creating a product for performance racehorses who struggle and are probably one of the most hard-pressed animals physically that we have. And they have a lot of issues with inflammation. So they brought this into there. He saw such amazing results inside of the performance horse world. He wanted to bring it to the dog world because Bill, with 4 dogs at home, he was really a guy that belongs in the kennel, but he was kind of stuck in the stable. And so he made the leap of faith and said, hey, I've seen these great results. There's a track record of science right from where our community here. Let's see if we can bring these in to the canine world, because that's where his heart is. And so he did that, and the results have been pretty remarkable. It's really fun to see.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we're going to learn more about WINPRO and also some more tips and tricks for your good old senior dog after we take this commercial break. So you guys sit and stay. We'll be right back.
Time for a pause. 4 furry ones actually sit and stay. Oh, behave. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's me again. Yep. Arden Moore, host of the O Behave Show, doing this commercial. You know what I love? I love my cats. I love pet safety cat Casey. I love my sweet Mikey. And I love one-eyed Morty. Each one has their unique personality. Casey's a pet safety cat and teaches pet first aid. Mikey loves to lounge on the couch and purr in your lap. And one-eyed Morty, he's just a purr machine. Now, you know what I don't love? Cleaning up the litter for Casey, Mikey, and Morty, which is why Arm & Hammer created new cloud control litter. There's no cloud of nasties now when I scoop. It's 100% dust-free. It's free of heavy perfumes, and it reduces airborne dander from scooping. Yahoo! So, what happens in the litter box stays in the litter box. New cloud control cat litter by Arm & Hammer. More power to you.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hey, this is Katherine Heigl, and you are listening to Miss Arden Moore on O Behave on Pet Life Radio. Tune in for more fantastic ideas and tips for your dogs and cats and pets.
We're back from the lot. Just checked the paper and we had a record showing at the box. The letter box, that is. Now back to O Behave. Here's Arden.
Welcome back to the O Behave Show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Good old dogs. I could talk for hours about our senior dogs. I'm thinking back that when I got Cleo, my now retired 17-year-old surfing dog, she's kind of been the one constant and many milestones over about 15 years. I found her homeless on the streets when she was about 2 years old. I have moved from California to Texas. I got married. I've written about 24 pet books. I've been on the air here with O Behave. There's just been a lot of things. And through it all, the one constant has been my good old dog, Cleo. So I want to ask Dr. Nicholas, the preventive vet, what are some things that we can do at home to kind of boost their brain power and help them keep active both mentally and physically?
Yeah, great question, Arden. Really important topic for senior dogs. You know, the main thing is keep their brain engaged. And one of the easiest ways that people can do that is to feed them their meals or their sort of midday treats, from like an interactive feeder or a puzzle toy, something that they've got to kind of push around, work out in their brain and solve the puzzle to get their food. Food is a great motivator for dogs, senior, puppy, adult, you name it. I mean, especially if they're labs. Food is a great motivator for anything for them.
Lab.
Yeah. So that could be a great way to keep their brain engaged and also help to tire them out because, as senior dogs age, if their mobility is starting to get affected, they might not be able to go for as long a walks as before. They might not be able to play ball for as long as they were previously, but they still need engagement. They still need some activity in their day, and mental engagement, mental activity can be a phenomenal exercise for senior dogs. And then in the same vein, really, the old idiom of, you can't teach an old dog new tricks is a bunch of bollocks. Like you can totally train old dogs. They can learn all kinds of new tricks. So it's fantastic. So pick a new trick, pick a new behavior and teach it to your dog. You can even take one of the behaviors that they previously knew and maybe is starting to slip a bit on and just reinforce it with them. So keeping their brain engaged is hugely important. Then the other thing is really helping them get around. So, if you're using the WINPRO products for inflammation and arthritis, or you're using something else, a lot of senior dogs, a lot of people nowadays, back in the 60s and 70s, homes were, wall-to-wall carpet. It's typically not the case now. We've gone, more hardwood floors, linoleum, tile, things of that nature. These senior dogs frequently have trouble getting around or even just getting up from a nap or from sleep. So
it's because it's all getting slickery. Right?
Exactly. And so, and sometimes they're losing muscle mass, the ligaments are stretching. We've got, all kinds of different possible reasons, one of which is that frequently their nail care sort of suffers and deteriorates as they're older. So that's critically important. And I don't know if you've ever talked to Dr. Julie Busby, but she's got a great product, the Dr. Busby's toe grips.
Oh, yeah. I've interviewed her before. Yes, I got that.
Wonderful. Her product is great and helps a lot of dogs get around, but paying attention to your senior dog's nail care and keeping those nails trimmed properly can help with their mobility and grip on your floors. There's dog boots, dog socks, the Woodrow wear Power Paws.
My dogs don't do the booty call, but what we did do, we had a major addition to our house. We have a 1941 house. It was a 2-1. We made into a 3-2. So it's got all wood floors or fake wood floors, So we bought runners so that little Cleo can waddle from the living room rug to the kitchen to beg for food. And it's really worked. I do think you hit the nail on the head. It's all about giving them mental enjoyment and enrichment. So Cleo cannot walk a long time. And I take Bujo and Kona, my other dog, for an hour walk when I can every morning before the darn Texas heat comes ablazing. And what we do when it's nice out and a little cool breeze is we actually put Cleo in her pet stroller and she gets to download the vitamin D. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's great because, again, that's mental engagement. That's mental, environmental enrichment. Even if she's not getting the physical exercise of actually walking and she's getting pushed around in a, little pet stroller, she's getting out and about. She's meeting other people. She's seeing things. She's breathing the fresh air. She's getting the vitamin D.
There you go.
The one thing, as we're talking about senior pets and those long walks in the Texas heat, the one thing I always want to make sure that people with senior dogs are aware of is their increased risk and danger of heat-related illness. So heat exhaustion, heat stroke, because a lot of these dogs might be obese. They might have arthritis. Some of them might have developed a condition called laryngeal paralysis, which is more common in sort of older labs and Goldens, and it's kind of a change in their bark and their voice. And so their larynx doesn't open the way it should. And so their ability to blow off excess heat through the respiratory system is diminished. And so older dogs are at higher risk of heat exhaustion and heat stroke, even in relatively mild temperatures, which you guys don't really have in Texas in the summer. You get the not relatively, not mild, just the heat. Everything's bigger in Texas, right?
Oh, yeah, unfortunately. So we're talking to both Dr. Jason Nicholas. He is the preventive vet, and Tim Mitchum. He's with WINPRO. And we're giving you some nice advice to really make those golden years truly golden for your senior dog. And I do know that people are now paying more attention to what they give their dog, especially as a treat. And it's kind of I equate it to like the Cheetos, which I really love and makes your fingers nice and orange, versus a healthy bite from an apple. There's the same kind of parallel, if you will, for our dogs. And Hey, Tim from WINPRO, why is it so important to not just hand over little food scraps or really low quality dog treats when you probably would have a better investment to more scientifically backed supplements?
Well, I think that Dr. Jason was making a really good point, and we really fit into the whole concept of, you're talking about teaching dogs, old dogs, new tricks, and what can you do with them as they get older to, enhance their cognitive ability and get them out there, basically keep them moving, right? It's no different than us. We keep them moving. And if they're not feeling well, and if they're in pain or soreness, they always have a choice. Like, is this worth it to me to do this or not? So the more that we can keep them, the inflammation down is what we do. But as one part, the more we can keep them feeling well, and one of those pieces is keeping that inflammation down, the more they are willing to do those things. And we have so many people that tell us, and my personal experience is, we had Roxy, hadn't jumped on the couch for years, literally years. And we
What kind of dog was
She was
Roxy?
a little Chihuahua. So she has high impact on takeoff and landing, right?
True.
From, not very high places. So we started giving her mobility. And within 15 days, she was jumping all over the house. And what the big aha moment was, wow, it's not that she couldn't do it. She just was deciding it wasn't worth it. So like when I have a sore back, I can go, well, I don't want to pick up that box on the floor. I'm making the same decision. And we can make a decision to take something to kind of help that soreness and pain and inflammation. Well, she doesn't have that choice. And so she's making the choice by just not doing it. So the more that we can help them feel good, the more they are willing to do those things that Dr. Jason's talking about, that will really help them in the long run have as good of a life as long as possible that they possibly can. And that's what's exciting to me. So the sooner you can start a preventive type of program, the better in the long run that will be for them.
Yeah, and you're talking about some of the things you have at WINPRO. It's not just for mobility, but you have a thing for focus, for some dogs that might get a little jittery around thunderstorms, and a whole slew of them. And folks, just after the show, just go to winpropet.com and you'll see more about what they do. You hit something, touch something that is near and dear, and that is Preventive. And guess what? We have the Preventive vet right here on the air. I'm always taking my pets for their semi and annual wellness visits, Dr. J. And sometimes we catch things a little early, and I get to save a little money in my pocketbook and have my pets a little longer.
Yeah. When Tim mentioned the word preventive, my eyes lit up and a big old smile came across my face. And hearing that you take your dogs for their semi-annual visits is great. I mean, I would always encourage people with senior dogs, to go into their vet every 6 months for wellness visits. And you really did hit the nail on the head, Arden. And it's a message that I really like to spread to people is a lot of these conditions, from an underactive thyroid or diabetes or Cushing's disease or osteoarthritis or cognitive dysfunction, the earlier we can catch it. And frequently that's an exam, a conversation with your veterinarian to learn the history, some, blood and urine testing, potentially some x-rays. Sometimes dogs will have high blood pressure. So blood pressure measurements, things of this nature. Frequently, the earlier we can catch these things, it's not just better for your pet because they're suffering for, a shorter amount of time. They're getting the relief sooner, but frequently it's a money saver in the long run. And so you're doing a great job by bringing them in regularly with your vet and having a good, close relationship with a veterinarian that you trust, that you have a conversation with, that, you can take the time, do the testing, and that's the best really for everybody.
Well, I agree. And shout out to Casalinda Animal Clinic and Dr. Deb Charles. She's a fear-free pet certified veterinarian, as is the staff. And so my pets love going in there because it's not so traumatic. And I make sure that they know it's no big deal. I don't want to instill panic so that they tremble when they go in. But, I'm just thinking, what is up with dogs? We love them so much, and I love cats too, but they do not even live as long as a robin or a other bird. And I'm like, what's the deal? Did the birds make a deal with God and say, all right, or a parrot, we're going to live forever?
Yeah.
Those DOG's not. So, I think every one of us who are listening right now, and I'm going to ask Tim and Dr. J to chime in here. Don't you guys wish we could have our dogs live much, much longer? But I guess maybe they're teaching us every day is a day to be cherished and enjoyed.
Yeah.
I'll start with you, Tim. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's
nothing against birds.
No, wait, when you said that, and this just instantly popped in my head. Well, maybe the difference is they're worn out from giving unconditional love at every moment of their life.
That's true. That's true.
You know, if we did that, we would probably wear out, way sooner too. It's just amazing to me, that piece of it to me. And maybe it's just, I don't know, but that to me, just having a visual representation of unconditional love every day of a life, that to me is amazing. No matter how long it lasts, it's just something that is a legacy type of vision that you'll never forget.
Very well said. We're talking to Tim Mitchum from WINPRO, the blood protein supplements. All right, Dr. Jason Nicholas, the Preventive Vet, you're up. What's your take-home message on this?
Yeah, I agree. I think that dogs just pack so much love and energy and excitement and life into every day. And so their lives are, shortened and compacted that way. But I think also, to Tim's point, they do teach us so much about, living in the moment, unconditional love, and then sadly, they do also teach us about loss and teach our kids about loss. And maybe there's an upside to that from the standpoint of that we get to learn that message, but then also we get to meet so many other dogs throughout the course of our life, because frequently, once a dog person, always a dog person. Right. So, you lose one and you don't replace that dog. You still have all those amazing memories and all those life experiences and lessons, but then you typically jump right back in the deep end and get another dog. And it's this whole other experience. And so there's a beauty and a joy there too, especially when you look at those little, gray-muzzled seniors and they're wagging their tail and they're still hanging out and they're teaching.
Yeah, I jokingly call Cleo Miss Methuselah because she's just going strong. 17. That's
awesome.
Good. That's a good
amazing
number. I think it was all those years of surfing, maybe initially.
It's a California lifestyle. Yeah.
So, but I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but she does have a little more spring to her step now that I give her those supplements from WINPRO. And guys, it's hard for me to go gaga over things because I'm an ex-newspaper reporter who said if your mother, an editor told us, if your mother tells you she loves you, check it out. So at least for Bujo and Cleo, they do have a little more spring to their step, and we've been getting them the WINPRO mobility chews every day. So anyway, we'll see what's happening, but I'm just delighted every day I have with Cleo is a gift. And she's my little pocket pal. That's what I call her. And I call Bujo, who's a Bernese mountain dog with a dash of Catahoula. She's my big black mountain. And she's just awesome. She has the sweetest brown eyes. So I'm doubly blessed to have a couple of senior dogs in my life. And I know all you listeners out there, there's different cycles. You go from the good old dog to, the crazy puppy times, or you adopt a dog at a shelter, which I bless you all for doing that if you do that. But just think, every stage of life of the canines, they're giving us something amazing that you can't find in a store, you can't buy on Amazon.com. It's them, and they're priceless assets to our life. So I just want at this time to do a special thank you to our special guest. I thank you, Dr. Jason Nicholas, the Preventive Vet. I want everybody to go to PreventiveVet.com and check him out. He is awesome, and he is on a mission to help all dogs, all cats, and pets all over the planet. So first, Dr. J, as you like to be called, thank you so much for being a guest on our show.
Well, thanks very much for having me, Arden. This was fantastic. And Tim, it was great to chat with you and talk about such an awesome topic of senior dogs.
All right.
Yeah, and next, great, Dr. Jason.
And Tim, we're talking about Tim Mitchum. He's with WINPRO. They do the blood protein supplements. I want you all to dash to winpropet.com after the show. And don't forget that coupon. If you do OBehave 15 at your checkout, you're going to get 15% off your first pouch of the mobility product. But more importantly, Tim, it's very nice to hear your voice and get to learn a little bit more about you. And I, too, want to also thank you for what you're doing and for being a guest on our show today.
Hey, Arden, we appreciate it very much. And it's been a real pleasure for me and Dr. Jason. It's been a real pleasure meeting you and hearing and learning from you as well in this short little time we've spent together. So I appreciate it.
All right. Our paths have all intersected now. Woohoo! And also talking about paths that intersect, Pet Life Radio is directed by executive producer Mark Winter. We call him the Wizard of Paws. We have been on the air for almost 12 years, I guess, my Old Behave show, and it is the largest pet radio network on the planet. So we salute Mark. And at this time, I want to tell all you listeners that to learn more about what I'm up to with my tribe, we call it the Furry Brady Bunch, go to ardenmoore.com or Pet First Aid, the number 4 and the letter U, petfirstaidforyou.com. So until next time, this is your flea-free host, Arden Moore, delivering just 2 words to all you 2, 3, and 4-leggers out there. Oh, behave.
Coast to coast and around the world, it's Oh Behave with Arden Moore. Find out why cats and dogs do the things they do and get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get great tail-wagging pet tips and have a fur-flying fun time. All Behave with America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore. Every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.